We've all heard of the American dream. It's a concept that culminates all of America's ideals and goals as a nation. As an underlying component of many literary works, it has been critiqued and pointed out by many people. The American dream is often considered the end game or the prize at the end of the race. But as these books seem to say, it isn't all that it seems. Since it is an older concept, we students tend to hear it in one particular place: English class. Especially high school English class. Oh, English class, a glorified second U.S. history course. Had we not taken this class, we wouldn't have the opportunity to even hear or read about these joyous books.
So here we'll pick apart the message of the two books, A Playwright, Death of a Salesman, and the famous great American novel, The Great Gatsby, and unravel their connection to the ages-old American dream. So, these books have similar plot lines and the same similar titular main characters who strive for success and love fueled by the American dream. Fun fact, they both take place in New York. Both books have cynically defined the American dream as a delusion created by people striving to achieve wealth, success, and happiness, all found in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This pyramid ranges from physiological needs to esteem to the very highest self-actualization. Funnily enough, both leads die before they can reach the top. I wonder what the authors are trying to tell us. Additionally, both The Great Gatsby and Death of a Salesman touch on how unattainable the American dream is, no matter who you are. The only contenders for happiness, according to the dream, are rich people and people with good opportunities. So Willie can't have it, but Gatsby can if he didn't have his head of his own.
To sum it up, Fitzgerald believes the American dream of material wealth and fame leads to sadness and superficial joy, while Miller believes chasing the dream of success is futile. Both believe that the American dream is not sustainable in the long term and that close connections are more valuable. Even though the American dream can be tangible, it isn't an ideal thing that one should chase. We see it through Willie and Gatsby, where they end up.
So when we first get introduced to West Stakes Party Scene, Nick's first impression of Gatsby and his glamorous life is admiration for the sheer amount of material wealth Gatsby surrounds himself with. When Nick meets Tom Myrtle and their friends, he's immediately thrust into a world of glitter. But as their friendship develops, Nick realizes that Gatsby isn't content with his wealth. As they spend more time together, Nick sees that Gatsby is wrapped up in this delusion that money could bring him happiness. Every time someone confronts him about this lifestyle, he denies it, and Gatsby still maintains his alluring persona when Daisy rejects him. When he becomes rich, money and artificial happiness were all he knew. Seeing his actions, it is evident that he pursues material wealth to get Daisy to pursue him again. He doesn't even value his belongings unless she's involved. Every extravagant party he throws is meant to draw Daisy in, and the sadder reality is that Daisy doesn't even care for him enough to attend his funeral. Gatsby thought the last call was from Daisy, but she was off gallivanting with Tom. Though they knew each other briefly, Nick was one of the few who truly cared about Gatsby.
Now, Willie, who longed for success enough to work himself to death, had pushed his family away from him in favor of chasing the American dream. Miller emphasizes the emotional distance between Willie and his family through various flashbacks near the end of the book. Willie reflects on these events in the last few hours of his life. We see how he never stopped striving for a more ideal life, and his discontentment with the lack of such bled into a relationship with his family. Willie couldn't accept that times were changing and he had to become unfit to provide for his family. His belief that likability leads to success led to his downfall. If I'm just likable enough, I'll be able to maintain my role as the family's strong, independent, emotionally repressed breadwinner. He totally would have said this, changed my mind. This might have been hindsight bias, but that's not how it works, Willie.
So now what? What happens if we achieve it? So Gatsby believed that with all his money, Daisy would only have eyes for him. In his mind, the only reason why Daisy didn't go running to him when he returned from the war was that Tom had more money. But as we see again, money doesn't solve everything, Gatsby. Daisy soon disproves this belief, admitting that she didn't marry Tom for just his money and that she genuinely loved him. Yeah, that's not the best thing to hear when Daisy's your only source of happiness.
Daisy, by extension Fitzgerald, is direct with her message. Wealth is nearly meaningless, and human connection is one of the only things that brings happiness and satisfaction. Less well-off people want money, and wealthy people want happiness. Gatsby is incredibly wealthy. Yet, people only regarded him for his wealth and never considered him as a person. Nick, while ruminating on the fate of rich people whose only value is their wealth, paints a sobering picture. Her hand, which dangles over the side, sparkles gold with jewels. Gravely, the men turn in at a house, the wrong house. No one knows the woman's name, and no one cares.
Later on, Nick describes the fate of Gatsby. He says, "But all this part of it seemed remote and unessential. I found myself on Gatsby's side and alone." And this is page 164. Gatsby's guests would party in his house, drink his drinks, and eat his food, but they never thought of Gatsby as a person. He was a war veteran, a murderer, and the source of all his wealth, as the rumors said. None of his guests even showed up at his funeral. They saw him for his wealth and money, and that only. Gatsby has all the wealth in the world with little to no meaningful human connection.
In Death of a Salesman, Willy Loman is in the opposite situation. He has people who genuinely care for him, but he's so wrapped up in his idea of the American dream and his aspirations to be the perfect husband and father that he pushes everyone away. He even cheated on his wife. His delusion of the American dream made him discontent with Linda, his beautiful, caring wife, and he cheated with her by spending money. He tried to use money to buy affection and human connection and got upset at her for reminding him that he cheated on her, which she didn't even know about. To her, she was just doing laundry. Willie forces his ideals onto his sons and doesn't appreciate anything his wife does for him. To say Willy Loman is not a good person. You don't even have any hopes and dreams. All you do is just project onto others about your own insecurities about life and your, frustrations with your own situation. Is an understatement. He has multiple opportunities to turn his life and viewpoint around, but he was so stuck in all his ways, he ignored all of them. Willie's version of the American dream is a person who is charismatic, well-liked, and achieves success by working hard. It's somewhat ironic that the sort of person that Willie sees as the American dream is perfectly embodied by Gatsby, who is obviously not happy. Dedicating your life to following the American dream does not end well. Even as Willie and his sons fail to embody the American dream, Willie never stops striving for it, even as multiple people point out that he cannot achieve it. His former boss, Harold, and even his own son, Biff, both men who are younger than him, recognize that he's beyond working age and he should stop working soon. Harold is the one who actively prevents him from achieving the American dream by firing him and cutting off his source, and Biff starts talking back to Willie when he mistreats his wife in front of his sons.
Now that you understand why Willie sucks, we don't need to focus on him anymore. Both novels make it clear that the American dream is an existing idea, but it has become so unattainable that it is an achievable goal. For example, Happy's and Willie's bosses prevent them from being promoted, while Willie's boss fires him, putting a wrench in his career plans. Now, both books convey that the rich and powerful prevent less fortunate people from achieving the American dream. In addition, the American dream is a purposefully vague idea that applies to anyone technically. Gatsby interpreted the American dream as a couple of checkboxes: accumulate wealth, get the girl, and I guess live happily ever after. Woo! Willie twisted it to fit his ideals of what a man should be. While it seems simple, it's actually nigh impossible for many Americans to achieve such a thing. The concept of the American dream has shifted over time due to societal issues such as class and money. It's an idea that was instilled at a young age to be something to strive for, and yet the expectations for each American citizen only grow higher and higher with every passing moment.
And here we have it, folks, the takeaway. Do not by any means dedicate your entire life to following the American dream, because it does not end well. Take it from Willie and Gatsby. Both men died because of the American dream failed them. Their attempts at following the dream were futile, and they died unhappy and alone. Both authors interpreted the concept pessimistically, and their main man served as a warning for taking the American dream to the extreme. Loman sucks so bad. He does not appreciate his wife enough. She's trying to get him to try new things with the cheese, and then he's immediately shutting him down. He also I get that a business trip is really hard on the person, especially if you're 60 years old. But he is so he's complaining immediately when he goes home. He doesn't even say hi to Linda when he gets home. He's just starting to yap about how much his how much he has to work tomorrow. And Linda's trying to suggest solutions for him, and then he's always shutting it down because he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to. He's a little baby.